Slavery. What do you imagine when you envision it? Do you imagine a black man on a plantation in the 1800s being whipped? Do you imagine a poor third world nation far from you where children are sold to feed the rest of the family? Well, many would be surprised to know that slavery is still very much alive and well even in the first world, but we now know it as human trafficking. And it's a subject that surprisingly doesn't get talked about much in PSAs that people talk about. So I present to you the top 20 scariest human trafficking PSAs. Roll the intro.
Human life is not for sale. Yet each year, millions of young people are exploited and abused in Miami-Dade County and throughout the nation. Criminals force victims to blend into our community so they go undetected. Stop human trafficking. Save somebody or save yourself. If you are a victim or suspect you know one, help is available. Call 911 or the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-3737-888.
A typical PSA from a state government, but its small details are quite creepy, and that's why it's on this list. The price tag describing the hand as belonging to a 17-year-old girl, the horrifying headlines, one even involving a 17-year-old boy trafficking a 14-year-old girl, all these details come together to create one creepy PSA that honestly I think is one of Florida's best PSAs of all time, despite being so simplistic.
The signs are everywhere. Sometimes you just have to take a second look. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it happens in our own communities. Victims can be any gender, age, or race. Join the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign to learn how to recognize and report this heinous crime. Your second look could be their second chance.
This won't be the only PSA with such a premise on this list, that premise being that sometimes you need to take a second look to notice the signs of someone being trafficked, but it's arguably one of the happier ending ones. Unfortunately, human trafficking, as this PSA states, isn't easy to spot at first glance. These situations would otherwise be pretty innocuous if the PSA didn't imply all of these people that are observed were in danger. The horror of this PSA lies in its subtlety, in my opinion, truth be told. Well, that was unsettling, especially considering this PSA implies that you can buy a child for less than a whole chicken or a piece of steak. I did the math, and well, to own this child, it would apparently be something that would cost only a mere $66.50, since the average weight for a child is 70 pounds, and the price was listed as 53 pesos per kilo, if we're converting pesos into US dollars. $66 for any sick fuck to steal this child's innocence. Jesus Christ.
We met online through social media. He told me he loved me and that if I ran away from home, I could stay with him.
My boss took me to the bank and told me to sign some papers. I found out later that I had taken out a loan for $30,000.
I tried to escape a couple of times, but I never had enough money for a bus ticket all the way home. I'd get as far as I could afford to go, then call my pimp because I didn't know what else to do.
There were nearly 20 of us living in 2 one-bedroom apartments with no furniture. The landlord never said a word.
It is often said that human trafficking takes place in the shadows. But the reality is that much of the business of buying and selling human beings takes place right out in the open. It happens in other businesses. In banks and bus stations, online and off, in emergency rooms and apartment buildings, in strip malls, not just strip clubs. We asked survivors to help us map these moments when criminal enterprises intersect with legitimate businesses. Then we asked what the businesses could have done differently or better. We asked how doctors and landlords, taxi drivers and hotel clerks, dating apps and social media moguls could make changes that could have, in any of these situations, changed everything. Then we turned what we learned into a roadmap for businesses to take action, to become partners in the fight. Join us.
This PSA is incredibly simple but very poignant. It just tells the stories of various human trafficking victims, which creates the weight of this PSA. And it's quite sad since it's clear they wanted to get out as quickly as possible, but the traffickers made it impossible to do so without authority intervention. And the fact that these horrible things had to happen to those innocent people to make the businesses around them consider what they could have done better is just heartbreaking. Well, this is certainly eerie. The girl in the salon looks rather young, I think 16, and she's clearly scared. Also, I find it interesting how she specifically came from Vietnam after looking for a lucrative job in the paper of her home country. It's an oddly specific detail, though this PSA is full of those, at a rapid-fire pace no less. Seriously, this industry is unfortunately very much alive and well, in our countries, no less. And it's often up to you, the consumer, to take action and stop it when you notice it. All in all, this is a very creepy PSA that is very well done.
This one is number 670455. Isn't it cute?
If you could only be with me.
Yes, our kids are available in many different sizes and colors. Whoops, I hear just now that white is sold out already. Thank you so much, everyone. It's such great fun to see that our kids are so popular with you. So, hurry up and reserve your own personal kid right
Jesus. Now, this isn't the first parody of QVC I've seen in a PSA, but it's definitely the most disconcerting, that's for fucking sure. All the details, such as the child not having a name, but rather a serial number, the child being referred to as it, and the surprisingly low price you can buy the child for, make this PSA incredibly disconcerting. And then there's that loud-ass beep that snaps you back into reality. It doesn't help that the child himself looks fucking terrified while on display. Now, something I've observed about German PSAs is a lot of them are either just bizarre, or freaky bizarre. This one is a freaky kind of bizarre. I never knew about this PSA before a member of my Discord server informed me of its existence. And well, let's just say, I've never heard creep performed in a more haunting way than how I heard it in this PSA. A little girl dolled up to look at least 10 years older, with the implication being, well, come on, we all know what the implication is. Pretty much all PSAs that make this implication are like this. Then that fucking wham line, that being slavery hasn't ended, it's just way less normalized and now affects all races. Essentially, like the girl, as stated, it just got a makeover. I certainly wasn't expecting this to be how the metaphor was executed, but goddamn. One of the more subtle PSAs on this subject, but definitely effective. At first, it just seems like this store is selling innocuous items that would only be interconnected in your mind if, like me and the average viewer of this channel, you're familiar with PSAs, but then that twist hits, as always. I mean, you don't watch PSAs for nothing. These items aren't what's for sale. No, in fact, the people these items are connected with are, and at some very low prices, no less. I was not expecting such a mood whiplash in this PSA, but it's incredibly well executed. Well, it's obviously hyperbolic in how obvious human trafficking is. It is indeed that easy for the traffickers to just buy and sell people.
The vision in my mind, it's time for me to go. The reasons all around,
This PSA is so well done. I love the style of this PSA being a pop-up storybook. I love the song, and the stories are just brutal. It really emphasizes the stories human traffickers tell to lure in victims that simply don't know any better. All these victims came from poor situations and just wanted to better their lives, and these criminals took advantage of that to profit from their desperation. And unfortunately, oftentimes without help, these stories have less of a Disney-type ending and more of an ending similar to the movie's source material. What I'm trying to say is that it's most likely a really dark ending they'll experience, but anyways, this PSA is so well done, and I fucking love it. It's one of many underrated MTVExit PSAs.
Human trafficking. It can happen in any country, even yours. The buying and selling of human beings, over and over again. The taking away of their human rights, their freedom to move, and their freedom to choose. This is modern-day slavery. Traffickers are people who do all these things to their victims, but they are hard to identify. They don't look any different to you or me, and they could even be someone you know, or even someone you've just met. Victims don't agree to being trafficked. They are tricked or forced by criminals who prey on their hopes and dreams with promises of paid work and the chance for a better life. But the reality is very different. Victims are sold and put to work in different ways, like forced labor, domestic servitude, or forced sex work. Traffickers use physical and mental abuse to control their victims. They also threaten their family and friends if they don't cooperate. Human trafficking flourishes because of the demand for paid sex, cheap services, and cheap consumer products. And traffickers earn millions from their illegal trade of humans for profit. So be aware of human trafficking. If someone promises you an opportunity that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Learn more at MTVExit.org.
God, the sound design and visual direction of this PSA is fucking amazing. The music is very industrial and immaculately produced. It is arguably the biggest contributor to the stressful nature of this PSA. The narrator is also very creepy in how matter-of-factly he speaks about the depth and insidiousness of human trafficking. It shows just how easy it is to get sucked in, but also how hard it is to get out, in an incredibly unnerving, but aesthetically pleasing way. And for these reasons, it's by far my favorite MTVExit PSA, and one of the best human trafficking PSAs I've ever seen.
Okay, kids, here we are at the slavery exhibit. Now, as you can see, the slaves were kidnapped from their homes, chained together for weeks. They would cram them onto these ships in very appalling conditions.
Thousands of women and children are being smuggled across the border.
Sexual trafficking of children. As you can see right here, they were treated like animals. They worked all day long for no pay.
Sweatshops raided by police. Children forced into slave labor.
Some of the slave masters were very cruel. They whipped them and they beat them, as you can see in some of these pictures.
Brutal, even fatal.
So, before moving on, are there any questions?
Does this still happen today?
See, a PSA using slavery as a comparison can work in a PSA. You just have to do it right. Even without the flashes of raids on child trafficking operations, the lighting of this PSA is creepy enough, even if the tour guide is heavily oversimplifying the horrors of slavery, and that creepy music box isn't helping things. Unfortunately, to answer the little girl's question at the end, since the tour guide couldn't, slavery still does happen today in the form of human trafficking, if this fucking countdown and these PSAs existing aren't enough proof of this fact.
She was 4 years old the first time a man looked at her the way a man looks at his wife on their wedding day. Little girls are supposed to dream about being models and doctors and veterinarians. Instead, she fought sleep eyes wide with terror of another night greeted by her stepfather's shadow. He was a real monster in her bedroom, and Mom, she was too fragile, too selfish to accept the truth that her little girl's innocence had been stolen one night when her boyfriend decided she wasn't good enough anymore. And since the little girl never had a real father, she accepted his advances because he always promised her his touches were acceptable, because he loved her. When you don't know yourself and you don't love yourself, you will fall for anything that sounds like love and feels like love. She was a walking corpse, stained with the fingerprints of strangers. And all she wanted was to walk the earth without the heaviness, the weight of all the men who tore a piece of her and took it with them. She never made it to see her 18th birthday. This is for the pain, for the stains that bath water won't wash away, for the scars left on the hearts of the fatherless child. This is for the girls objectified instead of praised like queens. This is for the agony. Growing up without a father, but all you really want is love, and you don't understand love. So one day when some guy stops you in a train station or a street corner and tells you you're beautiful, you are quickly intrigued. You like the fact that someone notices you, and you will do anything to feel like his everything, and he promises you everything, and the things he convinces you to do, they don't seem that bad if afterwards he shows you how much he loves you. Your morals are abandoned on that sidewalk where you turned your first trick. Your beauty is left in that hotel room where some stranger touched you like his girlfriend and then left the money on the nightstand. And every night, you die again, compromising your worth for what your pimp calls love and security. The hustle, the streetlights, the schemes, it never seems worth it, but you have the liquor to comfort your fears. And as long as your profits meet expectations, you will have what you always wanted your whole life. Love. Love that doesn't feel right, but it's all you think you're worth, so you take it every day. You sleep when the sun comes up, rise when the sun is down. Conceal the torment with makeup and stylish hairdos. Put on your best outfits. Something arousing because you have to make them happy. The men, the tricks, the pimps. This is for the pain. This is for America. In hopes that you will notice that 12-year-old girl who was forced to trade her lunchbox and sneakers for a Chanel purse and pumps. This is for the 16-year-old girl kidnapped by a gang of men on her way to school and held captive in a house right next door to you. This is for the 20-year-old girl who took her last beating today because she couldn't bring herself to let another man hold her down and violate her. We are all slaves for love, degrading ourselves for acceptance of a man that's the closest thing to a father figure we've ever known. We were once just girls with aspirations and a small piece of hope. Now who will notice us? Who will save America's daughters?
Shit, it's been a good minute since I saw an emotional roller coaster in PSA form like this. The poem itself is incredibly emotional, as it unabashedly calls out the depravity of the abusers and the apathy of the bystanders when it comes to the victim's pain. But the delivery of the poem getting increasingly emotional and shaky is what truly makes this PSA heartbreaking. The fact that this poem was written and delivered by a survivor of human trafficking only adds to the horror that is America's daughters. Holy shit, this is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen, and while it's not common for me to say this, I am genuinely moved.
He loves me. He takes care of me. Someday, we're gonna get married. We just need to get some money first. He needs me to do some things I'd rather not do. But it's just for a little while, so we can be together. At first, he just needed me to dance, but it's getting worse. He needs me to do more now. Sometimes he hurts me. He tells me to do what he says, that I can't leave, that I chose this, and I don't deserve anything better. He says no one will ever love me now because of the things I've done. Is he right? Do I even have a choice? You do have a choice, and there is a way out. Remember that you are special and valuable, and there are people ready to help you 24 hours a day at the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-3737-888. For more information about human trafficking, contact Zoe at www.mygenerationmyfight.com.
Unfortunately, this is an all too common way traffickers lure people in. They show their victims love, or something close to it, and slowly pull the rug out from under them, only revealing their true motives once it's too late. As is the case with our girl here. It's sickening to see how quickly this man switched up on his girlfriend as soon as she expresses discomfort with what he's making her do. Fucking sick that people this cold and manipulative exist, and it hits way too close to home for me. As someone who is a victim of this type of emotional and sexual manipulation, like, for example, he tried to get me to validate his sick taste in fictional characters, and when I expressed discomfort that made me want to leave, he threatened to kill himself. It is not okay for anyone to treat another person like this. It absolutely is not. And to anyone that thinks it is okay, fuck you. And to anyone being treated this way, well, I can't really do much except advise you to do whatever you can to get the hell out of that situation.
I hope my first bake sale is a success. I hope I will be a good businessman like my dad.
Oh,
hope I can go back to school. I hope I'll see my family soon. I hope things will change. I hope.
This is such a heartbreaking PSA. The contrast between the first two's aspirations for the future, which are innocent and, well, childlike, to the incredibly simple desires of each kid after them, makes this PSA incredibly poignant. These simple hopes of the last four being the possibility of going back to school, seeing one's family soon, that things will change, and just generally hoping. The context of that last one makes it all the more heartbreaking, as I mentioned in the countdown that began this year. He's seen horrible things as a child soldier, yet he still has the hope that things will change, that things will be better for him, that this isn't the end of the road. And that childlike hope makes it all the more fucking heartbreaking when you realize that unless somebody helps him out of this situation, this will most likely be the end of his short life.
When you work in the service industry, you see a lot of homes in all sorts of areas. Meet a lot of people, and even pets. Out here, you have to take your job seriously and always be on the lookout to find better ways to safeguard the people you serve.
What kind of shop are you guys got going here?
Tool and die shop.
Great, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thanks.
Or the products that protect their homes, or services to get their homes running just right. You work hard every day because you don't want to miss a thing.
Like you just did.
Do I have your attention?
Workers who are in people's homes on a day-to-day basis are a critical part of identifying potential cases of human trafficking and combating this horrific crime. When you know what to look for, you can help bring an end to human trafficking.
As service workers, you play an important role in the detection of human trafficking. You are on the front lines, in homes and in neighborhoods. Now that you know some of the signs to look for, you can help save those who are being victimized. Together, we can make a difference. If you identify someone you think may need help, please contact the National Human Trafficking Resource Center at 888-373-7888. This is a toll-free hotline that's available to answer calls from anywhere in the country, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all calls are confidential. On behalf of the Michigan State Police, thank you for your help in keeping our community safe.
One of the best state PSAs of all time. A bait and switch similar to Evan by the Sandy Hook Promise, where we're first greeted with something innocuous, but something sinister is going on behind the scenes. This time, rather than a kid planning a school shooting, the sinister thing going on behind the scenes is human trafficking. And it's easy to miss unless you're really paying attention. But once you notice these details, they become glaringly obvious. The most horrifying examples include a kidnapping where a girl is shoved in a white van, and a locked door with 30-minute appointments, which I think we know what that implies. It's one of those PSAs that revels in its fridge horror, and it does it very well.
Mahal na mahal talaga ako ni nanay. Tingnan niyo, bago lahat ng gamit ko. Ang ganda-ganda ko. Maraming salamat, nanay. Nay?
Report online sexual exploitation of children. Dahil ang human, hindi laruan.
Nanay!
I talked about this PSA last week, and well, it's quite horrid that this little girl turned out to be an underage cam girl for disgusting freaks online. A fucking gut punch of a twist. You know, the night before I began to work on the script for this video, I had watched a documentary on YouTube late at night where a Filipino woman gave testimony on how she was trafficked following abuse by her stepfather. And honestly, it's a fucking shame to realize that in the Philippines, this is an incredibly common occurrence. Also, a PSA in which a woman, the mother in this case, is the abuser? Not very common in a PSA, I must admit. Speaking of the mother of the fucking year right here. Yeah, all those nice things won't buy your daughter back her childhood, you greedy wench. God, I hate the mother in this PSA, and we don't even see the bitch on screen. Maybe one day I'll do a countdown of my most despised PSA villains. She'll definitely be on it.
We have excellent job opportunities for people who are interested in the hospitality industry, especially first-time job seekers. No experience needed. We'll take care of the training, work permit, and even accommodation. Just pack your bags and leave everything to us. If you're offered a chance to work, travel, or study abroad, make sure it's real. Go to MTVExit.org to find out more.
I've almost never seen anyone talk about this PSA, which is a shame since it's incredibly underrated. It's an incredibly well done bait and switch mood whiplash. But even before the flashes of the reality of this job were shown, I could tell something was off. The workers' smiles looked way too plastic, even for a help wanted ad. But you probably wouldn't realize just how sketchy this job is until you really looked into it. In fact, there's a PSA that came before this one that doesn't show what the people got themselves into, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that one could have been a legit ad to work abroad. Unfortunately, you always have to read the fine print when it comes to stuff like this. Otherwise, you could either end up trafficked or in a money laundering scheme, and you really don't want either of those fates.
My name is Elsa. My step-uncle was the first one to abuse me. Next day, the brutal owner, Father man pimped me. Some took my pictures. There were foreigners. I had many customers. The last one probably gave me AIDS. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore.
Stop child prostitution. Keep the children away from AIDS. Report child abuse cases to Bantay Bata 163.
Jesus, this is horrifying and heartbreaking. Her terrified voice as she describes abuse no child should ever go through is fucking haunting, for a lack of a better word. I could never understand how anyone could do something like this to an innocent child. It's incredibly sick. Just sick. Destroying a childhood and infecting a child with AIDS for what? Money? Sick kicks? It makes me sick to my stomach that knowing to this day that this is still a huge problem in the Philippines. Yes, prostitution of all forms is illegal there, but keep in mind, it's a third world country with a lot of the population living off what we in the first world would consider pocket change, and most money there comes from tourists. Among these tourists are people with more money than morals. Of course, politicians and other influential people will often also pay big bucks to destroy the innocence of kids like Elsa, and unfortunately, the police that do want to stop this horrific practice don't have a lot of resources to do so, often relying on non-governmental organizations in the first world for assistance. And with that bit of fridge horror of Elsa's fate being all too common in the country that this PSA aired in, this PSA becomes a lot more haunting. I absolutely love this song in this darkly beautiful work of art that this PSA is. The juxtaposition of the hopeful lyrics of the song, which is a Finnish song that describes a utopia, and the increasingly graphic visuals really emphasize just how fucked up the situation the older sister is going through, with that ending being particularly heartbreaking, as she was willing to leave her sister behind just to escape the abuse she went through. And it was all in vain anyway. And it's clear that this is most likely the assault that'll break her, and she isn't likely to escape. Some heavy shit, man.
Elena didn't think anyone would hurt her. Elena trusted everyone. Maria doesn't trust anyone. Elena wanted to learn English. Maria gets beaten if she says no. Elena worked in a market to support her family. Maria works for nothing. Elena wanted to help people and be a nurse. Maria services up to 40 men a day. Elena used to cry when her father was cross with her. Maria doesn't feel anything anymore. Elena's family thinks she's dead. Help me. I was Elena. I am Maria. Help me. I'm here.
Well, here we are. We're at number 1. And honestly, I really couldn't see any other PSA being number 1, given how graphic the storytelling and on-screen actions are. The implication that not only was Elena's name forcibly changed, her unwanted fate basically made her numb to the actions of her pimps, turning her from the sweet, kind, innocent, young, hopeful nurse into a hardened, severely traumatized shell of her former self that is pretty much a completely different person, is horrifying. And it really adds a layer of fridge horror to this already horrifying PSA. It's an excellent performance by Emma Thompson, and while horrifying, one of my favorite PSAs and favorite UK PSAs of all time. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and fellow non-binary daisies, is the end of another video. This countdown had quite a few long PSAs, and I apologize for it being rather long for a top 20, but if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and if you've done all those things, join my Discord server, link in the video and description, and if you've done all these things, y'all have a great day. Antonio out. Peace.